Some Game Master mistakes are worse than others. Introducing a rap scene into your game might cause the entire thing to implode, and rightly so, in my opinion. Whereas explaining to your players why the monster is attacking the paladin instead of the rogue may seem innocent enough. However, even innocent bad habits can have a negative impact on your game. Hi, I'm Luke Hart, and on this channel I share my nearly 30 years of Game Master experience so that you can run amazing games your players will love. Now, today we're not talking about the big, huge, abysmal mistakes that Game Masters sometimes commit. Instead, we're talking about 10 bad habits that Game Masters often have. These are the things that may not seem egregious in and of themselves, but they can certainly lead to a subpar game experience, especially if the GM has more than a few of these bad habits. Number 1, saying sort of and kind of. Constantly. This is a growing pet peeve of mine. Look, when you're describing something, you don't need to say, the room is sort of rectangular and it's filled with a kind of blue glow. Just say, the room is rectangular and filled with a blue glow. That's all you need to say. I feel like sort of and kind of have now become the RPG equivalent of these ums in there. They're basically useless filler words that should be expunged from our vocabulary. Number 2, not providing enough details. You walk into a 20 by 20 room with music playing. So what, is the room empty? And where is the music coming from? A monster rises up from the water and attacks. Monster? Okay, so what does it look like? If your words don't work, you can give us an illustration or something. Like just flip your bestiary book around and show us the thing, eh? You need to describe things just a little bit more than that. Number 3, detail overload. You walk into a rectangular parlor, 20 feet by 32 feet with a 10-foot ceiling. There are 3 plush, high-backed chairs arranged in a triangle, each sitting on a small oval rug that prevents them from scuffing the dark oak hardwood floors. 2 crystal chandeliers provide light, while a player piano fills the room with music. Red drapes cover the wall from ceiling to floor, hanging down just from below crisply painted white crown molding. The temperature seems to be a degree or more warmer than the hallway, possibly elevated by the 22 candles burning in each of the chandeliers. And you can see the converse of too few details is just as bad. Lots of people will say that providing robust descriptions like this is great for visualizing the moment, but all it does is slow gameplay down and present red herrings. Your players are likely to assume that since you described all those things, they're probably important and should be investigated further. A better approach is to only describe what's actually important or of interest, and even then do so succinctly with more information available upon request. I'll tell my players that there is a stone statue in the room, but only when one of them asks me more about it will I tell them that it's in the form of a robed figure with its arm outstretched as though it were once holding something. However, what it was once holding is no longer in its hands. By the way, we're currently running a Black Friday sale over on the DM Lair store. You can get up to 50% off products such as Lairs and Legends, The Secret Art of Game Mastery, Into the Fae, Lair Magazine, Foundry Packs, and more. So if you've been eyeballing something for a while, now is your chance to save big. But the sale ends this Sunday, so head over to thedmlair.com and grab your sweet, sweet discounted loot before time runs out. Number 4, showing the monster first. You open the door and see a massive, drooling ogre and 3 pointy-eared goblins staring at you in the room. And that's all your players are likely to hear, even though you complete the description of the room, because in their minds, they are already thinking about what they're going to say or do about the ogre and goblins in the room. And that means the rest of the description is a waste. And you're likely gonna have to repeat it because your players weren't paying attention. I realize some folks will shout the mantra of describe important stuff first, but that doesn't apply here. You need to set the scene completely before revealing your ace in the hole. Besides, many times what you describe last is the thing that sticks in players' brains. So describe the environment first and then describe the monsters in it. Number 5, monsters just attack. Just having your monsters attack as soon as the door is opened or they spot the characters is unimaginative and boring. I was at a convention game years ago where the Game Master did this and it sucked. It was an abysmal game. Now, yes, sometimes monsters will just attack. However, that should be the exception, not the norm. Even semi-intelligent creatures will know that combat carries the risk of injury or death and are likely to resort to other methods such as threats, persuasion, or bribery before just attacking. A rattlesnake will rattle at you and coil back in warning, giving you a chance to back away or use animal handling to calm it down. Goblins may put their hands on the sword hilts, but they'll at least demand to know why you're there or threaten to carve your heart out if you don't leave. You see, when monsters don't attack first, it gives your players the opportunity to resolve an encounter through a variety of different methods than just combat and bloodshed. And ultimately, that leads to a much better game experience. By the way, if you're finding this information useful, please give me a thumbs up and share this video with a fellow game master. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, why not subscribe while you're at it? Number 6, pulling back the GM's screen. Listen very carefully. You do not have to justify everything your monsters or NPCs do to your players. I've been in games where GMs do this, and it drives me crazy. I get that GMs who do this are probably doing it to dispel any notion they are metagaming, but what it really shows is a GM who is more worried about what the players think of them than actually running the game. Just have your monsters do their thing, and I'll have my character do his thing. Thank you very much. That said, there is a time and a place for pulling back the screen. I do this myself, but rarely, and when I do it, it's usually to explain illogical behavior. Let's say the rogue, wizard, and fighter are pouring out damage on a demon, but instead of attacking them, the demon rushes across the field to target the paladin, screaming, "Holy creature of light, I'll show you hideous glory of the deep darkness." You see, because the paladin represents the antithesis of the demon, the fiend chooses to attack him instead. Now, you might simply explain this to your players out of character, but when you can, work the rationale into the narrative description like I just did with the demon. Number 7, making a PC critical to the campaign. There's nothing wrong with making a character central to a game session, or maybe an adventure, or maybe a story arc, as long as all the other characters get their turn in the spotlight. However, when a player's character becomes central to the entire campaign, nasty problems are likely to crop up, such as plot armor, meaning the character really can't die or the entire campaign falls apart, having to cancel the game session if that particular player can't make it, and the appearance of favoritism. Number 8, unable to take constructive criticism. No game master is perfect. That means me, you, everyone. You should always be looking to improve your game. Something I do every 3 months with my players is solicit feedback on the game so I can improve and make the game experience better for everyone. I do this 2 different ways. First, I send out an anonymous Google Forms survey. I ask them to rate the game from 5 to 1, 1 to 5, 1 to 5, I know what I'm talking about. And then I ask 3 different questions. What do you like about the game that we should keep on doing? What do you dislike about the game that we should stop? What is something that we should start doing? And then, after the survey goes out, maybe a week or 2 later, I plan about 30 minutes during a game session to discuss feedback in person. We'll talk about the survey result and discuss the game in general. Now, I do not always implement all the feedback I receive, but I do carefully consider it all. And if I don't implement a suggested change, I do have a good reason for not doing so. Number 9, letting players push you around. Now, I firmly believe that a game master should always hear a player out. When my players have a problem or a complaint about the game, I'm always going to listen to them. If they disagree about a rule or ruling, I listen and don't rush to shut them down. This usually becomes a conversation where I then explain my point of view, and then a decision is made or a path forward is decided upon. Sometimes I side with my players, and sometimes I don't. However, don't let yourself be pushed around by your players. Remember that you, not them, are the adjudicator of rules, NPCs, and adventures. You need to have the backbone to make final rulings and decisions when necessary. And if you have a player that just won't let it lie, argues and becomes verbally aggressive, well, it's probably time to bid that player a fond farewell from your game. Trust me, every other player will probably thank you. By the way, the converse is also true, in that the GM should not push the players around either, but that usually takes the form of the dreaded railroad. However, railroading is probably not what you think it is. In fact, lots of folks get railroading all wrong. If you'd like to learn more about railroading, check out this video right here, or linked down in the description. Number 10, sacrificing your own fun for the player's fun. How long do you think your game's going to last if you, as the game master, are not having fun? That's a rhetorical question, but if you need me to spell it out, I will. The answer is not long. Okay, maybe if you're getting paid to run the game, it's a different story, but for most GMs, if you're not having fun, your game is likely to slowly die as you get burnt out more and more. So yes, one of your goals as the game master is to create an environment and game where players are likely to have fun. But remember, there is nothing you can do to guarantee they will have fun. But you also need to make sure you are having fun. But that's just what I think. Let me know down in the comments about any bad GM habits I forgot to mention. By the way, if you'd like to get free Game Master resources delivered to your inbox every week, sign up for the DM Lair newsletter at the link below. And don't forget to check out our Black Friday sale running now through Sunday. Now, if you'd like to learn more about how to prep your D&D game in 30 minutes flat, watch this video right here. And until next time, happy game mastering.